add damage. So a way to check add damage, this is more of a thing for raid leaders, but you also want to check what kind of add damage you're doing, because that's the way you're contributing to progression the most, specifically depending on certain fights. So an important fight with big add damage may be Il'gynoth, right? You want to factor out who's doing the priority add damage and who is doing add damage on the, what are those things called? On the Ickers, who's padding. So there's two ways of doing this. One is a much more effective way of doing so. I'll show you the simple way to do it first. One thing you can do on most fights, for example, this is the most simple way, is you can go to damage done, and then under all enemies you can come down here. This left one is the boss. So this is going to be all damage done to the Eye of Il'gynoth once you get inside. And then this right here is all NPCs, and so this will show all damage done to adds. On Il'gynoth, that's not very useful because you want to factor out who's doing the damage to the Ickers. So one thing you can do is you can check specific. So if you're having trouble with the Corruptor Tentacles or they aren't going down fast, you can check who's doing the most damage to the Corruptor Tentacles. You can do the same thing with the Deathglare Tentacles and see, and same thing with the Dominator Tentacles, as well as the Nightmare Horror. Okay, so you can check that. Okay, so we'll go that. So we're gonna go and check out how you can check with the Il'gynoth. So we pull up our log, and then we go to Il'gynoth. We get our normal kill. Will that be even worse? Yeah, probably. So we're gonna go to the damage done tab. When you click here, you see some pretty sweet numbers, yeah? And when you check weighted damage, it doesn't change. Normally, it'll change depending on what the weights are, but right now everything's weighted at 1. So what we want to do is we want to come up here to queries, and we're going to select damage as the event that's happening, damage to enemies, and there's several ways you can do this. You can give all of the other, you could say give the corruptors, if they're the biggest problem for you, what you can do is you can select them and give them a weight of like 2. Or what you can do to see who's doing the most damage on the Dominators, Deathglares, Corruptors, and the Nightmare Horror is what you can do is you can go to Ickers and select them, come down here, select DPS weight, and give them a weight of 0. And when you click Create Pin, when you go to the Damage Done tab, you will see when we select weighted damage, you'll notice Pony Pants is at 410 DPS. He drops down to 256 when you take out the damage done to the Ickers. And what you'll see is that Halvix, while being the second DPS overall at 381, was doing the most damage to the important adds and was only doing, what, 70k DPS to the Ickers. And so that's where you find out where your important damage is done. And so say we go back up to query. Oh, my mouse is bugging out. So let's go back up to query, right? We'll do the same thing, except for we're going to do the targets, Nightmare Ickers, and we'll give them their DPS weight back of 1. Okay. So we do that, so when we select DPS weight, nothing changes, right? And so now we're going to come up and say we have a problem with a specific ad going down in time. Say that nobody is swapping to the Corruptors, we'll say. So we come in here and we give them a DPS weight of 2.0. Oh, we don't want to put that there. We want to put that down here. So considering that that's a problem, we'll see who is doing the most damage to the Corruptor Tentacles, okay? So we have unweighted damage, and the weighted damage you'll see is pretty similar, except for we'll see Renacita jumps up a little bit. So we do that, and maybe since we couldn't tell, that doesn't really give us an accurate representation. We're thinking, I don't know if that was everyone. We come down here, and we also can minus off the other targets. You can go the Nightmare Ickers. And then we'll also select the Deathglare tentacles, the Dominator tentacles. We're going to take all of those, and we're even going to take the Eye of Il'gynoth out of all damage, okay? Let's see, what else could they do? Il'gynoth itself. And that is the Nightmare Horror as well. And I don't know what the Flail of Il'gynoth is, but we're taking that out as well. Oh, that's because we pulled with a tentacle from the trash, okay? So we're taking all these, and we're going to give them a DPS weight of 0. Okay, so we go over here and select it. Renacita did the most damage to the Corruptor Tentacles. She's super low in terms of highest on the DPS meters, because DPS, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Well, actually 12 because we had a tank, but our tank's up here. But we have 13 DPS, and Rena is maybe 9th or 10th on the list. But when it comes to important damage, she's taking out the things that need to be taken out most important. So this is a way you can help as far as raid leading, figuring out who's doing the appropriate damage and where. And on top of that, you can use that to judge your own performance, because a lot of people just look at the percentiles and say, oh, I was 40th percentile, that sucks. Well, it doesn't suck if you're doing the right thing. So that's a way you can do that. I'm pretty sure as well, one thing you could have just done is done Corruptor Tentacle damage, and it would show you who did all the damage to the Corruptor Tentacles. But that was kind of an extreme way to figure that out. But it's important to know both of them. Look at that, our healer, our disc, was 2nd on damage to Corruptor Tentacles. So that's something you can siphon out there as well. Let's see, next up.